Welcome to 17th episode of the Excellencia Series. We have today two sessions. Uh, First is on the misconceptions around ESG and empowering corporate sustainability, and it is going to be handled by our honored partners from Dubai, Urmish and Tanuj. A bit about them before we start. So Tanuj is a CA, LLB, and having 15 years of experience in the field of sustainability advisory, non-financial reporting, finance, risk management, and assurance services. He is a rank holder throughout his three levels of CA exams and law graduate by qualification. Um, First, he has joined with Big Four and he has played a key role in creation of Tata Index for Sustainable Human Development Taxonomy. He has also uh, been a partner and co-founder with Bond Council, a niche sustainability advisory firm, providing end-to-end sustainability as services, including formulation of sustainability strategies, creation of operational roadmaps, development of innovative sustainability initiatives, and assisting multinational and SME entities in reporting under various global frameworks such as GRI, SASB, TCFD, etc. He is also a passionate speaker on digitization in business and sustainability reporting, having conducted workshops at various seminars, branches at national and international level. Uh, he is an avid traveler, enthusiast, and food lover who likes exploring places and meeting new people and knowing their culture. So, welcome Tanuj from UAE.
Hello everyone.
Uh, Second partner, Urmish
Hello.
Mehta. Yeah, he's also from Dubai. He's a chartered accountant and lawyer by qualification with more than 15 years of experience in diverse fields of sustainability, reporting, business transformation, process reengineering, and assurance. He is he was a part of impact management project and technical working group of European Financial Reporting Advisory Group, which is helping in digitization of harmonization uh, of sustainability standards. He has been a member of the Technical Research Committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He has also co-authored books and articles on digital transformation of business reporting, XBRL, and integrated reporting for IMA and XBRL International. He was a major contributor in creation of the Tata Index for Sustainable Human Development Taxonomy, which is world's first XBRL acknowledged integrated reporting taxonomy in association with Tata Group and United Nations Development Programme. He is a passionate speaker on emerging technologies and business trends and has conducted workshops across various international forums, being a keen observer and curious learner in his free time. He loves to dabble in spirituality and exploring the world. So with this, we welcome you, Urmish, and we would request you to start your session, both of you.
Sure. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Josefa, for the generous introduction. I will just start my camera as well. Just confirm if you are able to see both of us. Tanuj is also with me currently, and we have joined from the same system. Are we visible?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yes, now you
I
are.
think
Thanks.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the session on sustainability. We will try to make it as interactive as possible. And if you have any questions during the session, please feel free to raise your hand digitally, and we will be happy to answer any of your questions at that point of time, or maybe at the end of the session, howsoever it is convenient. And we would like to uh, thank Mr. Huzefa, Mr. Kalpesh, Mr. Nikhil, and all the partners at JHS for having us to address on sustainability. And without further ado, I will quickly share my screen and start with the misnomers about sustainability. And let's take it forward from there. Just a minute, sharing my screen. Are all of you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Without quickly wasting too much of time, so currently, there are various lot of misnomers floating about in terms of sustainability. Some of them might be true, or some of them, would be a lot of hearsay, since many people have not ventured into this field so far. So some might think like, Ashni Grover, that what is the yes of Doglapan hai? Because Indians, we are, I think sustainable since our ancestors' times. It's Indian civilization. It's thousands of years old, and we have always lived with, nature, environment. We have always, even in our business processes, we do have a special place for the environment, for the respect of the people with which we work. And obviously, India is famous historically for having fantastic governance structures as well. So, for Indians, it is one of the most difficult concepts to get across in terms of sustainability, or what really is sustainability in from, I would say, not a Western point of view, but more so from the point of view of what exactly are the opportunities with respect to sustainability, and what does the sustainability term in the modern sense mean. So, let us target the misnomers from the word go. Generally, it's a belief that sustainability is only for the big boys, or rather the big Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 companies of the world, or if it is in the Indian context, it is for, let's say, the Tatas, the Reliances, the Infosys, and all. Let me draw an analogy over here. So obviously, when the governments across the world, they talk about sustainability, and how can they leverage or have a positive impact on the environment or not, they obviously start with the big companies. It's like the GST mandate, which had come way back, I think in 2016 or 17. You would know the exact year when the GST mandate came in. Obviously, the rules initially started with the big corporates, the XBRL filings and all. First, it was applicable to the listed companies. Or if I were to, draw similarities with sustainability, you would have heard of business responsibility and sustainability reporting, which is mandated by SEBI. And again, it's for the 1,000 big listed companies. And then it is voluntary in nature for the other companies. So obviously it starts with the big boys, but it does not necessarily have to end there. Even the small players, I will give you examples over the course of this session as to how even the small players uh, can have an impactful business strategy with eye on sustainability. And at the end of the day, sustainability is nothing but practicality. You can use both of these terms interchangeably. Sustainability is nothing but looking through a practical lens, not only considering the economic benefits which accrue to an organization, or the business benefits, or focusing on profits itself, but also from the overview of ecology, environment, the people with whom you are working with, the stakeholders, investors, customers, your suppliers, vendors, etc., etc. So that's about sustainability not being only for the big boys. And over the course of the presentation, I mean, Tanuj will also run you through what are the opportunities with respect to the smaller businesses as well. The second part is sustainability is expensive. Now it really depends. The answer to it, it really depends as to what exactly is sustainability. For example, let me take examples of two set of clients. One is, let's say, a steel company with manufacturing activities, which manufactures steel pipes, etc., etc. Now, if they have to be, carbon neutral, these are many terms which you will hear a lot in the coming days, or discussions around sustainability, like carbon neutral, net zero, or having a neutral or no impact on the environment as such. Now, if a steel company is dealing into sustainability, obviously, let's say currently it is using, I would say very orthodox processes of producing steel with machinery which is, let's say, tens of years old, and it is very heat intensive, it is very energy intensive, it consumes a lot of heat in the form of raw materials which are added to it, etc., etc. Now it would require a significant shift for it to adopt new technologies. It would involve a lot of capital expenditure, a lot of operation of opex as well, right? So it could be expensive for it. But on the other end, let's say if it's a service company, and service company as such, it does not, manufacture anything as such, or it does not have a that much of an impact as compared to a manufacturing company on the environment. For it to adapt, maybe more Zoom calls for a tech company like an Infosys or a TCS, avoiding face-to-face or personal meetings between teams located in different cities, and doing a lot over the digital medium and all. Those are relatively inexpensive, tweaks which they can have in their strategy. And obviously, each of these tweak adds up, and cumulatively the impact is wide enough. So sustainability, it really depends. Again, coming from the chartered accountancy point of view, or opportunities for firms or corporates in sustainability, it really depends what area you are working into, what are the ask of a particular client. Let's say, we generally have two or three different types of clients. One is a vendor to a big multinational entity, and it has been sent a sustainability questionnaire from that multinational entity, who contributes significantly to the revenue of that vendor. Now, what that vendor requires is, filling up the sustainability questionnaire, and all the related things which go with it. So that could be relatively inexpensive vis-a-vis an entity which wants a full-fledged sustainability report to be prepared with measurement of its impact in terms of environment, with the carbon emissions and all, the diversity and inclusion with respect to social concepts, and the governance, and streamlining the governance procedures. So the answer really, it depends. The third one, sustainability involves a lot of greenwashing. Uh, to an extent, we would say yes, many companies are accused of greenwashing their sustainability impacts, or rather extrapolating their impacts. At the same time, the world is moving towards a more structured and objective approach to sustainability. Currently, sustainability is something that is very subjective. There are n number of frameworks, which is again another misnomer which we have listed over here. Uh, uh, there are many changes in terms of rules and regulations surrounding sustainability. In our subsequent slides, we would cover those changes which are happening, which are lending much more structure, much more objectivity, and much more meaningful tools of measurement to identify the impact around sustainability. And in future, just as we have audits of the financial statements and all, in future integrated reports will be generated, which would also cover the non-financial aspects of the business of the entities. And accordingly, the concept of greenwashing, it is expected to eventually reduce. The fourth misnomer is sustainability is just another word for CSR. Again, it's not just restricted to corporate social responsibility, especially in terms of the Indian context. It goes beyond that. Corporate CSR, it's more of their activities to giving to society. It's a subset of sustainability, but then sustainability involves having a look at all your business operations, systems and procedures, and comprehensively studying each part of it, and then identifying the optimum or the minimum path of least resistance when it comes to your operations, business and processes. The fifth one, sustainability, is all about environment. You would have heard of this terminology often, ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance. Obviously, the environmental part out of all these three concepts, it's the most measurable, it's the most impactful, and it's the most which gets resonated when a company talks about sustainability, because sustainability to an extent is also about marketing. It's all also about making the listeners aware of what the company is doing in terms of its sustainability initiatives, and it goes beyond environment to cover social and governance initiatives as well. Uh, the next misnomer being sustainability reporting is an alphabet soup. So here's the thing: if you type any three random alphabets on Google and search, chances are that there would be some or the other sustainability framework with those three initials. So currently there are hundreds or thousands of frameworks out there. Some of them are industry specific, some are geography specific, some are regulation specific, some are standard specific, etc., etc. And there is a great deal of overlap in terms of what these frameworks and standards are trying to say or portray in terms of sustainability reporting, and how those standards can be adopted by companies based on their geographies or regions, or their sectors or their size, etc., etc. But now the world is moving towards more consolidation. Even in terms of sustainability reporting, it is moving towards more structure. Just to give you an example, there is under IFRS itself, there is a board by the name of ISSB, which is International Sustainability Standards Board. International Sustainability Standards Board has come out with two standards, S1 and S2, which relate to sustainability. And they, just as we have the financial reporting standards, they are trying to, objectify, or rather create structures for sustainability reporting, and also the norms, disclosure norms around sustainability reporting. So sooner or later, again, just as we have converged towards Ind AS, in the Indian context, IFRS would be a kind of a global template, kind of the guiding principles, and countries across the world, they will come out with their own set of standards, which would be based on IFRS, or they would be in line with or converging to IFRS, even in terms of their sustainability reporting. Again, this is work in progress. As we speak over today, I think around 7 to 10 countries around the world have adopted IFRS and are in the process of mandating it from 2025 or 2026 onwards. And slowly but steadily, its adoption across the world would increase. And I think this is the best area where we as chartered accountancy firm can capitalize on this, or in terms of providing services to our clients in terms of sustainability reporting, because CFO office often of a corporate is currently the best place for housing all the sustainability initiatives, given their expertise in terms of reporting and all those things. So from the other side, the chartered accountants in practice, or the chartered accountancy firms, they would be very well suited to offer sustainability reporting and assurance services as well with respect to sustainability to the clients across the world, and that is where the opportunity is.
Correct. Just to add what Ramesh was saying, so sustainability reporting currently, I mean, all over the world, you have financial reporting and non-financial reporting, and I think that is something which we will also cover in the next few slides. But the world is moving towards something called as integrated reporting. So what is integrated reporting is basically a combination of your financial and your non-financial reporting, right? So I mean, at this point of time, obviously, we are all aware about the financial reporting landscape in various countries. Sustainability is still like a separate report, which major companies in the world, these days produce. But going forward, what will happen is, because sustainability norms also have an impact on the financials, right? So a lot of times, the survival of the business will really depend on what you are doing about sustainability or environment, in the larger sense, right? So that's where Europe has already started with mandating something called as integrated reporting, where you will build in one report which contains all your financial reporting parameters, your balance sheet, your P&L, your whatever parameters are there in the annual report, and which will be attached with a sustainability report, wherein you will also be required to show the correlationship between the financial and the non-financial reports. So that's that's where it's a big opportunity for us.
Yeah. And just to take it forward from there, the last point on our misnomers is, whether sustainability is only about compliance. So again, there are two approaches to it. Some corporates do look at it purely from compliance point of view, that here's is a checklist under BRSR or any other similar checklist by regulators across the world, and they have to comply with that. And there are other set of corporates, especially groups like Tata's and all, who are really committed to adopting sustainability much more beyond reporting, much more beyond compliance, into their business systems and processes, as well as part of their strategy at large, because they do consider environment and the society as critical stakeholders, along with the investors, shareholders, and their clients. So yeah, there are two approaches to it, and we get clients from both sides of the spectrum. Some require it from compliance point of view, some require it from value addition point of view. Any questions over here before we move on to the next slide? I guess we will take it as a no. Yeah. So now, having talked about sustainability, what generally is what do corporates do when it comes to sustainability? I'm sure Nidhi would be throwing more light on these things. But just to give you an example of how a corporate matures in terms of sustainability, or what it does with respect to sustainability, it all starts with the strategy. Sustainability policies are created along with the strategy itself. Now let's say my strategy in terms of sustainability could be that I want to achieve 50% workforce targets by 2030, wherein 50% would be males and 50% would be females in my workforce if I am an organization, or I want to achieve a net zero status by 2040 if I am a manufacturing company, and I want to create a comprehensive strategy with respect to what my target would be 15 years, 20 years down the line. On the basis of this, the second part is the creating the implementation roadmap. Now, changes do not take place overnight, and obviously there are significant, there could be significant capex or opex related to it, which would really depend on the modes of financing available to these companies and all. Some of them may be cost intensive, and some other things, like diversity and inclusion roadmaps and all those things, they might be non-cost intensive part of it. So depending on what the strategy is, the implementation roadmap is decided considering the financial constraints, considering the other constraints and all. And after the implementation roadmap, what is done is on periodic basis, be it monthly, quarterly, or annually, the progress is measured in terms of roadmaps. If there are any deviations, they are taken into account, they are discussed. This is just like let's say your internal audits, or any other value addition assignments for the client. The progress is measured in terms of the various parameters which were decided at the time of implementation, and then there is performance benchmarking, just as to give another financial analogy, just as we have transfer pricing methods, just as we have benchmarks with respect to certain transactions in transfer pricing, obviously there are performance benchmarks where, like say, for example, if there's a listed company in similar sector, and if it has set certain benchmarks in terms of net zero and all, and if you are measuring the progress, or you are kind of formulating a strategy for a mid-sized corporate, then obviously you will rely on performance benchmarks and decide accordingly where it stands currently and what it can do to improve its position. The fifth one, again, learnings from the deviations based on measuring the progress and the performance benchmarking. What are the deviations and how those learnings can be derived and translated into actions. And the last part, probably the most important part, and that's where the value really lies. It's how effectively you communicate with the stakeholders in terms of your sustainability initiatives. Now, the communications can be multifold. It could be in the form of a tab on the corporate's website, linking, measuring their sustainability initiatives. It could be by way of applying for a number of rewards and recognitions related to sustainability. It could be in the form of a sustainability report, or it could be as part of your annual financial statements, or rather your annual reports as well, with a particular section dedicated to sustainability and all. And I would say again, in terms of a chartered accountancy firm as such, we really, some of these things can be taken up entirely as part of the in-house services by CA firms. Some of these things require help of implementation partners because there are certain technicalities involved. For example, there is a steel plant and it has a number of machineries whose parameters have to be measured in terms of emissions and all. That is where we would require technical expertise from those sides, and then their inputs will also go into the report creation as well. Yeah. So again, practical examples in terms of sustainability. Now we are sure that you would be using many of you would be using iPhones, for example. So what did Apple do? It stopped offering chargers with their iPhones and all those things. The reason which they gave was that they are contributing sustainable towards sustainability of the environment, saving in terms of charges and all. But obviously there was a tangible benefit to them over and above the environment, and which also played a big role. It's because they kept the price of the phones same as the last year, or probably might have even increased it, but at the same time removed charges from the packaging, and they said that we are moving towards sustainability. But along with moving towards sustainability, they were also being sustainable from the economic sense of the term as well, and it also added to their bottom lines as well. So this is just an example of sustainability strategies out there. Again, not necessarily everything is linked to profits as such. Obviously, the financial side plays a big role in determining what a sustainable policy would be, or a sustainable offering would be. The other things could be that the best examples we often give to audiences in this part of the world is the existence of a Raddiwala in India. Raddiwala collects all things, not only paper waste but also metallic waste or plastic waste, and he knowingly or unknowingly plays a big part in the entire circular economy or the recycling process and all. Similarly, just to give you another example, let's say it's a very typical example for someone living outside India. So what usually happens over here is, especially in the Middle East, the water is delivered in 5-gallon containers. And what usually happens is there are 6 to 7 companies who are delivering the water. Now, let's say if me and Tanuj, we are, let's say, residing in the same building, and Tanuj is procuring water from company A, and I am procuring water from company B. At the same time, my delivery happens as and when I need it, and Tanuj's delivery also happens, water happens as and when he needs it. So what usually happens is every day there is movement of bottles within the same building. Now let's say there are 300 units in the building, 300 flats in the building, and each one demands water at different times of the day and on different days. So what could be a sustainable idea out of it is to request the building management to fix the date of delivery of the bottles as one day of the week or 2 days of the week. And what will happen is, because of this, the trucks which are carrying the delivery of the bottles, they would their emissions would be nullified. The time taken for delivery of the bottles, since a significant volume will move at the same time, the time and efficiency of that process will also improve. And this is a practical example of what the buildings over here have started doing in terms of scheduling the deliveries of water or optimizing the power loads and so on and so forth. So this is another demand side example with respect to this. This type of examples uh, they have a big impact on the bottom lines of the companies as well. Obviously, it starts small. It starts with a small idea, but the impact which could have in terms of the environmental implications or the profit implications could be big. And again, this would depend on client to clients. And generally, what happens is generally the clients which we serve, we also include advisory in terms of such initiatives as part of our offering as well. If they require, obviously they know their business better, but we try to study it just as we try to study a particular business in terms of when we are doing internal audits or statutory audits. This could be value additions which could be provided to the client. And sustainability really doesn't require any rocket science or things to know when it comes to strategy and all. Obviously, the technical terminologies and all are there, but to suggest an idea which could have probably a big impact on the top line or the bottom line, or even the environment, it could be a big value addition for the client as well. Yeah. So again, we will quickly be running through the other slides. Currently, business sustainability, it's being seen as a distraction, not part of the KPIs across various things. But in future, it would be increasingly be linked to the roles which the individuals are performing within the environment, as well as the department or the group as a whole. And like Tanuj mentioned, the world is moving towards integrated reporting, which is a combination of financial reporting and non-financial reporting. Obviously, the weightage would be more towards the financial side of it, but nonetheless, through this integrated reporting rules and regulations starting from Europe, and then eventually moving eastwards and westwards from Europe, it will encapsulate, and probably, let's say, 10 years or 15 years down the line, there would be an integrated report, not even an individual sustainability report or a financial report, but it would be an integrated report. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take this ahead. I mean, as I was speaking, during the previous slide as well, these are like the major differences between financial and non-financial reporting. So on the financial side, it is highly structured, highly objective. So, we have a particular format, we comply with certain rules and regulations. When we prepare our accounts, or when we do auditing of our accounts or assurance. When it comes to non-financial report, as Umesh mentioned, there are multiple frameworks, right? So a lot of the times, I mean, if you look at the west side of it, Europe is very heavily regulated now. So Europe has their own sustainability standards, just like we have our accounting standards or auditing standards. They have their own sustainability standards. the US government or the SEC, who's the main regulator equivalent to SEBI in the US, they've also come out with a mandate now. So next year onwards, the US listed large accelerated filers will be required to submit the non-financial information in a structured way. And APAC is relatively slow, but like India came out with BRSR, the other jurisdictions are also coming out with a structure or a standard, towards the non-financial reporting. So as of now, it is unstructured, but it will be more structured going forward. Then in terms of just in terms of compliance, obviously financial reporting, as we all know, is mandatory in major parts of the world. Non-financial is still voluntary in major parts of the world, and mandatory for jurisdictions like Europe and all that. In terms of content, we all know what financial reports contain. In terms of non-financial reporting, you have either the sustainability report, or fact sheets, or customized reports, or yeah, I mean, I can switch to the other slide, which talks about the ingredients of a sustainability report. So there are, as you can see, there are like 3 or 4 major components. One is the stakeholders. Who are the target audience of a sustainability report? It could be either your investors or the regulators, if there's a particular law in the jurisdiction, or it could be employees or your customers or your suppliers, right? So these are like the major stakeholders or common stakeholders of a sustainability report. Now, what are the topics or metrics? What does a sustainability report really contain? Like you would have probably heard about this word ESG. So it talks about environment, governance, and social. So environment, has or addresses topics like GHG emissions or energy management or waste management. Then you have social, which talks about diversity and inclusion, health and safety, human rights, and then you have governance, which deals with monitoring and oversight, or having a sustainability committee in place, or business ethics, or data protection. So these are like the various topics. On each of these topics, the expectation by the regulator or by the framework or by the investor is that you report your data points for each of these topics. So in terms of carbon emissions, so if you are a manufacturing unit, how much carbon dioxide do you really emit, and what is your plan to reduce that emission, via changing the technology, for example, changing your manufacturing technology. Or if you're a service organization like ours, the emissions is more in terms of electricity used in the office, or the employee commute, so we all travel using our cars, buses, or trains, whatever. So, so how much of that emission is emitted because we've been traveling, right? So each of these topics or matrices, is defined into pretty detailed, to your surprise. I mean, the Europe mandate, which took force in 2024, has a list of about 1170 data points. So the companies are expected to report on 1170 data points. So this topics or matrix can be pretty detailed as well. Then it comes the frameworks. I mean, frameworks, again, we will, if time permits, we can dive deeper into these frameworks. But these are the UN SDG, GRI, TCFD, and SASB. These are one of the larger or the most widely used frameworks which are there in the field of sustainability reporting. And what are the outputs? I mean, the outputs are obviously your ESG report or your sustainability report. There sometimes people have a microsite on sustainability, or you can have various raters or rankers give you a rating, or you can be part of various indices, and then obviously a board report or an investor deck can be also a part of sustainability report. Yeah.
So basically, in terms of corporates as to obviously the next question would be, as a corporate, how would you start your typical journey? And I think Nidhi would be able to cover it in much more detail in the next session. So just as an example, how does it look like? Let's say it is like we showed you the approach to sustainability. It is understanding in which sector that particular corporate is in, what are its business and processes, what its level of maturity and commitment when it comes to sustainability, whether it is just starting the journey or it has already done something in the past and it wants to capitalize on it and build on it and know that. Depending on that, the next steps are determined in terms of the strategy and operational roadmap. And then the first and foremost, the low hanging fruits, which we call, is basically just listing down their sustainability initiatives and circulating it in terms of website and social media. And as practitioners in sustainability field, one of our target is to convert sustainability from a cost center to a profit center. Obviously, it does not happen overnight that it gets converted into a profit center. Sorry, someone wanted to ask a question. Okay. Let's say in 3 months, the website and social media communiques are ready. Then the various low-hanging fruits, other than social media and website, like creating a diversity and inclusion report, which would be readily created using 90% of the HR data, which is already there with the organizations and all this. That could be a part of low-hanging fruits, and then slowly and steadily moving towards the first sustainability report and deciding on which frameworks or which standards suit that particular client or that particular business, and then creating the sustainability report basis of that, and eventually moving towards a mature sustainability framework and strategy, and towards net zero in terms of their businesses and processes. Yeah. So without diving too much into detail on account of time, let me take you through what has been the evolution of the modern movement in terms of sustainability. Again, it started with various initiatives across the world. Particularly, we would say Europe is the most advanced member of the world in terms of sustainability rules and regulations. Many of those rules and regulations have emanated from over there, and they've been copied, or they've been developed upon by the parts of the world. So just to give you an example, it particularly gained momentum after the 2015, when the Paris Agreement was signed, and there was a lot of UN cry about the impact on the climate of human activities, what should be done to lower the temperatures, what should be the sustainable development goals, which each country and the corporates across the world should subscribe to, etc., etc. And then over the years, it has really spread across the world. Somewhere the impact is big, somewhere the impact is small, and that is how the sustainability has evolved as such. And now, just to give you an example of what a sustainability standard really looks like, so you can see here there are a set of standards known as Global Reporting Initiative, which is known as GRI. Again, they are divided into environmental, social, and governance, and there are certain universal standards. Just as we have the accounting standards or the Ind AS standards, similarly, there are standards with respect to each of the topics which Tanuj mentioned. For example, under environmental, you can see, materials, what is the energy consumption, water, biodiversity, etc., etc. So these standards, what do they typically do is they give some sort of a structure to the reporting, because let's say, there are two entities. One entity has planted 1,000 trees as part of their sustainability initiatives, and let's say another entity has provided employment to about 50 people from the backward classes of the society, let's say, for example. Now both of these are sustainability initiatives. How to report them in terms of in a standardized manner, and eventually in terms of an objective way of reporting. And this is where the standards and frameworks come in. Obviously, there is a great deal of overlap between various standards and frameworks. The 70 or 80% of the information which they ask is more or less the same. So the world is moving towards consolidation, you can say, in a way. In terms of the sustainability standards, they are being now regulated more and more by the regulators and not independent standard setters. And they are coming under, or rather, they are consolidated under, let's say, IFRS, or if it is Europe, it is under European Sustainability Reporting Standards, so on and so forth. But again, there is a great deal of overlap between all these frameworks and standards. And just to give you an overview of what are the emerging trends to look out for, specifically for those of you who would be interested in offering sustainability services or learning about sustainability. There is something known as CBAM, which is coming up, which is Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. And now this is very practical implications, even on the financial side of it. So what does this mechanism say? I will just give you an example on this, and then I think we'll wind up our session. So basically, what does Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism say? Now, it particularly applies to the countries or to those corporates who are exporting, 7 critical products or raw materials to Europe. Let's say oil and gas, your minerals, metals, and such things. Let's say, again, coming back to the example of a steel company. Let's say, Tisco from India exports a number of steel products to the European Union. Now, what Tisco has to do is measure its carbon emissions, identify per unit of carbon emissions per ton of production or per ton of exports which it is doing to Europe. And if, let's say, again, to quantify that purely hypothetically, let's say $100 is the cost per ton of steel exports to US, and let's say it needs to pay a carbon tax of $10 on $100 because it is currently inefficient as compared to the acceptable sustainability standards. So directly it would have to make a payment of $10 per ton of export to Europe as carbon tax, right? So these are the practical implications of it, and therefore what many countries across the world are doing are coming up with regulations of their own, taxes of their own, so that they can charge to their corporates, and it works similar to withholding tax credits or credits available under the double tax avoidance agreements and all. Similarly, there will be an DTA equivalent of the carbon border adjustment mechanism as well, wherein, let's say, if $10 was the tax liability of Tisco on export to Europe, and if it is making a payment of $9 in India, it would get a credit of $9 and would have to pay only $1 to Europe, to the European regulation, because it was unsustainable for that year, or rather, it did not comply with the sustainability norms related to steel production and all. So similar are the trends, rules and regulations which are coming up across the world. And yeah, it's an exciting field to be in. Good opportunities. Chartered accountants are ideally placed, particularly from the strategy side and the reporting side of it. Obviously, we have to partner with some other technical experts when it comes to implementing the sustainability initiatives. But we have seen, even in large corporations, CSO as a separate function within the CFO department itself, or rather CFO and CSO work parallelly for the sustainability reporting strategy and initiatives. Any questions? We are almost at the, I think, at the end of an hour and the time.
Yeah, hi, Umesh. Kaushik this
Yeah.
side. So I have a small query. like let's say a company, maybe a manufacturing company or whatever. I mean, they have calculated their emission at the end of the day or end of the year, and then how do they generally offset? I mean, is it normally like tree planting and then doing the auditing part? They do a carbon trading, they purchase from the international market. How do they adjust on that? I mean, any example you can take, you are doing it for the steel
Sure.
factory, whatever you can say.
Yeah. There are two things to it. First is making your own. When it comes to, let's say, a steel company, let's say it is emitting currently 3 tons of carbon per 100 tons of let's say steel production. Now there are two ways of looking at it. Obviously, the world does not expect the carbon emissions to reduce to zero from a steel producing process. So there is something known as EU taxonomy in Europe. EU taxonomy is nothing but European Union taxonomy, which gives benchmarks, certain benchmarks for different types of sectors. So if it's, let's say, a steel producing company, it says that your carbon emissions should not be greater than 2.5 tons per 100 tons of production, let's say, and we are currently at 3 tons. So there is a deficit of 0.5 tons. Now there are 2 or 3 ways of offsetting this. One is there are carbon credits traded on international exchanges available in the market. You can buy this carbon credits and offset and say that you have complied with the norms. The second, it's a bit long-term plan or a long-term roadmap, let's say, wherein you commit that every year there will be a 10% reduction or moving towards efficiency in terms of your carbon emission standards. That's the second approach. And the third one, like Kaushikji, you mentioned, doing it by way of tree plantations, afforestation activities, or carbon capture activities, and all those other organic activities. Wherein again, those activities, there are certain standards like the Vera standards of the world and all, which measure the impact of how many trees you have planted, what would be the carbon dioxide avoided throughout their life cycle. There is the life cycle assessment of the products which you are producing, and what would be the carbon impact of whatever activities you have undertaken, and then the calculations are done. So again, there is no one fixed way. There are multiple ways in which to be done, and also till probably right now it's more voluntary in nature and not mandatory to offset the carbons. But with the regulations like which I mentioned, carbon border adjustment mechanisms and all, which have already been effective, but their financial taxation part and all those things will start from 2026. So that's where the financial impact would be felt more, and they would be focusing more on buying carbon credits, or India would also come out with a carbon tax of its own. It's already in the pipeline. Piyush Goyal had mentioned in one of its speeches with respect to the European carbon tax. And hope I answered the question, Kaushik.
Yeah. Urmesh, one last thing, like you have mentioned that there is a list that probably sector specific, what could be the approximate percentage. So is there any, can I find it anywhere, like anything, or is it something where it is?
Yeah, it's EU taxonomy. What we will do is after this session, we can share links to few of the reports and also the sector specific EU taxonomy norms as to what are the established rules and regulations.
Yes,
After
that
this,
would
we
be
will
great.
share with Mr. Huzefa, or yeah, and then
That would be great. Thanks, Urmesh.
perfect. Any other questions?
So thank you, Urmesh and Tanuj. I believe this was a really helpful session in clearing our misconceptions around the ESG implementation. Thank you, both of you, for taking out your time at such a short notice and designing this lovely presentation and giving the insights. Since there are no more questions.
always good to connect with the team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
please shoot out questions. If you have anything around ESG, we're always available. To answer any question.
Thank you. So I believe that there are no more questions coming. If there are any, team can still keep on putting in the chat box, and we will try to channelize it to you. And since we have a time limitation, we will go to the next session where Nidhi Mehra, she is already there, and she will help us clearing on empowering corporate sustainability by driving employee engagement and environmental impact. So she has a bit about Nidhi, like um, she is an IMC alumnus who has spent more than 2 decades building marketing and growth strategies for some of the most known brands in India. She spent her last decade through in fintech space with companies like Angel One, India Infoline, Marwadi Group, Alliance Insurance, working on their transformational digital journeys for higher customer adaptation and adoption. She has always been passionate about creating a positive impact through sustainable marketing strategies. As a marketer and sustainability enthusiast, she firmly believes that business can drive change and make a difference in the world. Throughout her journey, she had the privilege of working with incredible teams and driving meaningful campaigns that promote various products linked to our lifestyle, finances, and more. Though her passion has always been to create awareness about eco-conscious living and environmental responsibility, her goal is to inspire and engage audiences, empowering them to make greener choices in their daily lives. With that thought, she co-founded My Plan 8. I don't know how to exactly pronounce My Planet or My Plan 8. I have already installed that app, Nidhi. Sorry for wrong pronunciation, if any.
Well, I
You
know
may,
you said it's my planet.
yeah, My Planet. So over to you, Nidhi. Uh, please start the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Josefa sir, and the entire partner team of JHS for giving us this opportunity. And also a big thanks to my previous speakers, Urmish and Tanush, for putting up a right baseline of what exactly sustainability is. Currently, for most of the corporates you talk to, sustainability is a buzzword because everybody is talking about it. And yes, there are a lot of misconceptions around that. So a big thanks to you for clearing that up. In fact, it was my co-founder Kaushik who was asking the most questions to you. Okay, because yes, even though we are part of the field, we will love to know more about it. With that thought, I'll just share my presentation and then we will talk about the entire thing. Just let me know if you can see my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, we can see it. Thanks.
Thank you. So when we talk about corporate sustainability, we are talking about different concepts of CBAM, which has come into picture. We talk about sustainability as a reporting or the non-financial reporting aspect, and a lot of financial aspect of the European taxonomy and other taxes are becoming a part of that, and that's the reason the whole focus has come into the picture. Our topic is a little more into getting into driving employees as a part of sustainability, and I tell you the reason why. Like but the previous speakers has also said, that there's a reporting type which has been created, created as a mandate for BRSR. So last year, SEBI said that okay, all the 1,000+ company has to do this for sure, and for the rest is voluntary. But a business responsibility reporting, which we're talking about from the sustainability point of view, is not just linked to the emissions, also linked to different kind of factors which these gentlemen actually explained to you. And when you look at that, there are multiple scopes which we're talking about. So what they have done is in the environment sustainability governance report, they have divided this into scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. In a simple way, if I say scope 1 is where the reporting of the company is very easily, which can be done because it's the company facility directly. What are they doing in the vehicles, that the direct and the indirect emission, which is within the company for the product or the services they are building. And scope 3, which is a very vast scope, to be honest, because 90% of 80 to 90% of emission of any organization is actually helping in this scope and happening in this scope, and you are not able to create a solid baseline of it because it's on a third party. Okay, think of it like when you take out your car out for driving, you cannot take it out without the third party insurance, because you can still take care of your car, but if you end up damaging something from the third party, you don't have resilience. So insurance had to make that mandate for you. But when it comes to the sustainability and the environmental action, the scope 3 is completely opposite. Most of the people has overlooked it, and it has yielded a significant indirect influence on the emission. And because it's not someone is taking the ownership of it, it's something which has created a very huge impact on the environment. I don't know, most of you, if you're aware, this is the warmest year. Like every day, the 365 days we have seen in past 1 year has been the warmest day every day. And most of the people have taken a pun on it by saying summer is coming, but that's the truth of the matter. And if you look at the latest NASA reports, you will also see that where it used to be an Arctic freeze, or the snow patches of Arctic, now there is a heavy rainfall and the biggest iceberg is flowing. So we listen to all these kind of aspects, but we don't create any kind of impact to it. We listen to the flash floods which are happening in Sikkim and Uttarakhand, which actually create a lot of loss for job and other things. But we do not react to it because in our own environment, we don't feel it's creating a direct impact to us. But I think Mumbaikars and Delhiites can definitely say that it's impact us because of the AQI or the dust particle, how kids are getting impacted for it. In an organization, what we are trying to do is put an ownership on the organization with this reporting structure. And we're trying to say an organization at least have to do this kind of structuring or this kind of scope reporting by which they can take a little bit of an ownership. In this scope 3 recently, in August of 2023, the employee aspect has been added. So like Tanuj also was mentioning, the commute to office or a business travel which a employee is doing is something which has been added as a part in the August of 2023. And Vera was the first one to do that. And then globally, Europe followed it. And we thought in India it will come a little later, but it got implemented by December itself. So now every corporate has understand from a compliance point of view, they need to have at least this reporting of how the people are commuting to the office. Okay. Now let's look at the other aspect of it. The other aspect is the employees who has become a part of this reporting from the commute point. But are there any kind of other thoughts which they're having? So this is a secondary research which was done by Mercer, IMM, Ahmedabad, and other and BCG, which shows that most of the Indian people who are working in any kind of bigger organization or a mid-sized organization are aware of sustainability. They want to take an action, and they also want to know the Gen Zs or the I'm not talking about the baby boomers right now, but I'm talking about Gen Zs. The Gen Zs usually, from a hiring point of view, also ask these organizations, what is your ESG strategy? What is the sustainability strategy a company is looking at? We were recently in Bangalore in one of the event for the HR, and emeritus HR head who's responsible for talent acquisition said one of my biggest criteria which I come across from the Gen Zs is that if my organization is thinking about sustainability. And one of the biggest reasons for that is because they understand that they are the next generation who will be actually be most impacted by the climate change which we're looking at. And climate change is just one visible aspect of it. But if you look at the other sustainability goals, until unless all of them come into picture, we'll not be able to see any kind of impact of it. One of the other point of discussion was why we are not able to do it. Okay, like Tanuj and Urmesh had mentioned, there was a lot of standards which we have built in. There's an SDG standard. There's also from the UN FCC point of view. So you have different GRI standards. So you have different reporting standards. But when it comes to the scope 3 part of it, and especially the baseline is huge. So to either get the point of view or the point line for yourself and get a proper data which can be used as part of the reporting. So this problem is something which we see on a larger scale. Okay, but where at one side we have this problem, there's another problem which the corporates are facing. The corporates are facing a problem of the climate issues which they're going to see on their own employees right now. In a recent net zero year summit which we attended, there was a very big question which has been asked, that because of the most warm year which we're going through, how we will be able to create a right manufacturing unit with the same productivity, because most of your workers will not be able to function at the same temperature, which at the same pace, because the temperature is very high. This is the first time Indian manufacturing units or the production units are talking about having AC based workshops. Now, having an air condition based workshop means that there will be higher emissions, while they even use the solar or any kind of renewable energy to create that impact creation of the energy reduction. But the impact of that structure itself will create a lot of information, or like a lot of emission over there, which will be one of the biggest concern. So the organization are facing a challenge of first getting employees included into scope 3. The second is to give them that personalized structure of it. And third is that how to get the same output out of it. Now, think of an organization like JHS, where you have 500 employees in 7 different locations. Okay. And like whoever said that I've already installed the app to see that. But think of 500 people in your organization who are not aware of how their life structure is and what is their impact. But our data, because in the past 1 year, we have gone to more than 45,000 people, and we have done this analysis with the technology we have created around that. We have found in an urban scenario, in an Indian urban scenario, average emission is anywhere between 7 to 10 tons. Okay, so that means it's 7 to 10,000 kgs, which an individual will do if they're living an average urban life. If they are traveling very rigorously because of business, if they're doing anything else, the impact is even higher over there. Okay, now think of if all of your employees, if 500 employees only do 1 ton, which is 1,000 kg each of the person, we're talking about 5 lakh kgs being removed, 500 tons being removed from the environment because of different kind of methodologies or practices which we are ready to accept. So the question is how we can build that, how we can create that, in a system, or how we can create the synergy in the organization. Another question, like I said, we were in Bangalore, water crisis is happening, and most of your employees are getting impacted because of that. Now, how you can ensure that you are creating that sort of impact, that their regular life or their regular lifestyle is getting into the positive section, and they are able to get out those daily traumas of not having enough water or clean air, at the same time feeling that, okay, they have purposely created a positive impact on that. Now, the answer to all these questions is a cultural shift which is required within the organization. Okay, ESG is playing one part on it because ESG has come as one of the compliance and the mandate, which is creating that push in the organization. CSR has been doing for a very long time in an organization, and that's the reason when you talk about ESG, most of the companies has this misconception that ESG is equivalent to CSR, because they have always heard about CSR as the activity which is happening there. Okay, and the last aspect is the HR, the human resources, who's trying to ensure that the talent they're acquiring, they stay, they nurture, they're able to have a good experience with the organization. At the same time, they can drive all the KPIs which are required from them. Now, on top of their regular KPIs for the employee health, benefits, and other things, they have this KPI of ensuring that the employee commutes is also part of it. And later on, as the compliance become more and more redundant, advanced over here, or new policies will come in over here, we might see other aspect of this coming in. One of the very recent example is the green credit. Nirmala Sitharaman announced green credit as a program last year, and India launched Mission Life, which is lifestyle for environment. And if you look at the recent thing after Startup Mahakumbh and the other activities, Modi ji's recent trip to Bhutan, we had an announcement on how green credit will be taken by individuals. Okay, like a few in the previous session, Tanuj also answered that there are carbon credits which are happening, because if you're removing carbon from the environment, it's equivalent to having a credit, so it creates a carbon economy. And in India, we're trying to create a green credit economy of our own. Okay, so the Indian government is saying that rather than the traditional carbon economy, because of the taxes and the other European economy around those carbon credits, India wants to break that and make people more accepted towards creating positive impact. And that's the reason green credit has been built as a structure. Again, the activities are definitely linked to activities which can remove carbon from the environment. So it can be a Vera gold standard certified project. It can be tree plantation, which is again certified by government, and it can create different credits for individuals to take advantage of. Now, this will also come into the in future will come into the part of the taxation bit of it. Will also come as the part of the exchange bit of it, where this will become like a tokenable, exchangeable thing for an individual and a corporate to create value for themselves. So, having said all that, what our vision was, because both Kaushik and I, we come from financial aspect
Nidhi,
of it.
slide is not changing. Sorry, but slide is not changing. It's still on the, yes, now it's visible.
Has it changed now?
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay. So thanks, Kaushik, for that. And like Kaushik and I, we both come from a financial background. So like you guys are solving a problem for financial reporting. We understood that the biggest reason this is not happening, the gap or the reason we are not able to fulfill this gap is because the finance is not linked to sustainability in the right way. And finance has a fintech in past few years have created a lot of innovations which can actually take this all these data into the consideration and create a proper verified reporting for you. Okay, so with that we created a vision. Okay, let's have 10 million plus people who are working professionals in India. Can we make them transact and act towards greener action or climate action? So with that vision we built our solution, and for this solution we have done a very huge curated beta testing. Is not something which we just created and so okay, it's a good thing to have. We had more than 45,000 people who joined the cause with us, who helped us create this technology with us, verified this technology for us, and ensure that we can create a verified report for each individual and the corporate can take the most value out of it. And in the testing phase itself, they were able to create an impact of 21.89 lakh kgs of carbon emission reduction to be done. So that's a commitment these people have taken. And the solution we're talking about is also something which got accepted by UNDP Youth Collab. We were part of the Green Finance cohort and also the SISF part of it. We were recently the part of also awarded as the Green Innovation Excellence in the Net Zero Summit. We were also part of the Startup Mahakumbh. So it created that value because what we're talking about is a possibility for each organization to do and get their employees involved into it. How we're doing it is the innovation. We have created a scoring system called Green Score. So what you have as a credit score doing for you in the financial world, it tells you how your finances are running. In a very simple word, Green Score tells you how eco-conscious one person's lifestyle is. Whether they're doing good or bad is not just about the emissions over here. It's emissions plus the action and the activities which is getting done. So we go on a very granular level and see how holistically a person is living their lifestyle and what is the impact which is coming out of it. And with the help of this tool itself, we are nudging them back to a better lifestyle, to give them better options to make impact which can be more positive for themselves. So for this, what we did is we broke down the technology into two aspects. We have made one thing as the app because it's the easiest thing you can have. You can have your app on your phone and everything is actually in your phone right now. So with that, the app starts functioning. At the heart of it is the Green Score. And we have gamified the entire app in a way that you are able to create the most impact out of it. All this data which we have built in for the individual to understand different categories. So whether it's your travel, food, digital usage, if you have any pets or something like that, we have 10 categories over there, and that data flows into a reporting structure for a corporate. Okay, so corporate at the same time get a live reporting of validated data where they're able to create a different value. We have built in the green credit system as well in this solution. So if anyone does a positive activity over here, we're able to give them the green credits over there. And if the corporates want to drive this credit system for themselves from the point of allowances, R&R and other things, that creates a very bigger value, because that money which was anyhow be spent by the corporate and the corporate employees becomes completely green in the transaction, and becomes a very validated data on where it was spent, with how much emission was spent, and how much was reduction which was done through the platform itself. I'll give you a small demo of this so it becomes more clear for you. So what we believe is that, together we can have this net zero journey with each other. And for this, I'll show you a small demo of the app. I'll just excuse me from this screen right now. I'll stop sharing this screen and come to my mobile. I hope you all can see my mobile screen.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So this is our app. This is me. This is my scoring. Trust me, 303 is not a very good score. And I'll show you a reason for that as well. Because of my work, I have traveled a lot this year, and I've taken flights, which is something which is not an irreplaceable emission. So if I go ahead and look at my reporting over here, it will tell me the kind of emissions I'm having. So I have created approximately 13.8 thousand kgs of emission because of different activities I have done. Out of that, I've been able to only neutralize 80 kgs by doing offsetting or some other actions from the app. And if you look at the quick review right now, it tells me minus 1540% from the travel. Why it says that? Because if you look at the average Indian travel emission, there's a baseline being created for that. That means from that, I'm doing 1,540% negative to that. That means I'm a very high emitter when it comes to travel. My another problem area is lifestyle. So that means where I'm spending my money is not something very, very friendly over here. I'm doing it more than any other person from a 300% point of view. And from a water point of view, I'm still 67% higher water usage than anyone else. So when I understood this, that means I know what are my problem areas is, and that's the reason the gamification came into the picture for us. If I want to learn different things, I can also do that. I can get myself educated. I can see historically if I worked on my score or not. But at the same time, how the app is helping me. The app is helping me by telling me what things I need to do. What is the next best action I need to take to reduce my emission? So it says that, I need to talk more about the climate change, because if I have a kid, I need to talk about that. That will create a culture shift in me. I can buy a local produce. I'm sorry, I got a call in between. My apologies for that. So if you look at that, shopping was my bigger challenge. So I had to buy a local produce over here. Okay. Talking about me buying algae-based bag, because in my lifestyle, it must have seen that I'm buying certain number of bags which are not required. And if I switch to an algae-based bag, it will create a bigger impact. I can see more of these pledges over here. If I want to go and see what more action I can take to do things better, I can do that. Okay, I give you a very simple thing. Let's say replace it with plant-based meat. I take a pledge that rather than having a non-vegetarian food, which is a part of my lifestyle right now, which I have told the app, I will switch to a plant-based meat. If I go ahead and do that, I pledge this, I'll be able to win 3 credits from the system. That means this is something which I can do once in a week, and I'll be able to generate a green credit for myself, because I have taken a pledge of switching to this thing, and it creates a positive impact, because meat consumption has its own impact on the environment. Though in India we don't do beef or pork that much, but if you look at that, chicken has its own emission, fish has its own emission, and our solution is able to detect that. As soon as I'll complete this, I'll get this 3 credits as the winning over here. Then other things it tells me it's what sort of initiatives I can participate in. So we have initiatives in the form of physical events. We have initiatives in the form of different kind of workshops and everything. And the most important thing is offset. So like what Ramesh was talking about, that if you want to neutralize your impact, or like a corporate does, in a similar way an individual also want to go ahead and neutralize their emission, they can do an offsetting by a Vera and Go Standard projects. So if you look over here, we have got a complete marketplace of Vera and Go Standard projects, which you can pick and start investing in from minimum of 49 rupees. What we have done is we have created a blockchain of it. So it's a fractionalized unit. And like you buy crypto in the environment, you can also go ahead and buy the carbon credit now. And that creates a balance for you. And whenever you do that, again, you earn a green credit out of that. So that means your green credit ratio keeps on increasing. Now, another thing is, because lifestyle-based choices is a very big thing. One of the use cases we saw with most of the people was their choices of what they're buying. And that's the reason what we did was we handpicked some of the brands in India, which are which are green, which are creating products which are certified by UN or other entities, which create more impact. And we're giving you those as the option with a discounted offer through them. So you're able to create a bigger impact. You must have not heard of the name about most of these brands, because these are not like the Amazon, Flipkart of the world. These are most commonly known as, the world in the sustainability as well. And that's the reason these are a little bit expensive than your regular. I don't know why they're calling me so much. I'm sorry, it's something which was not expected, but so, like I give mostly an example of someone like Banco Janko. Banco Janko is someone who's doing upscaling of clothing for past 16 years in India. Someone who's been the most decorated sustainability person in India, who also does her own accounting of the emission reduction that she's doing with the upscaling of the garment. But most of the people are not aware of that. But they make beautiful bedsheet curtains or different kind of items which can be used in your house, from your apparel, jackets, and everything, which are from the upscale clothing material. Wascure does one of the best curated food packaging with the honey and other thing. They have a very different food product altogether. So like this, we have multiple green brands which have joined the cause, which are actually sustainable and giving us more of the value. But when we talk to people, mostly when we talk to people about their emission, we also realize most of us don't want to take a lot of effort to change that. And there are a lot of things in our lifestyle which will still remain the same. So because of that, we thought, okay, can we ensure that this baseline can be created for your regular lifestyle things as well? And that's where, if you look at this 200 plus lifestyle brands came into picture. Now, if you ask me, not all of them are at all green. Zomato at least give you delivery as a green thing, but not all of them are green right now. But you will still end up going ahead and spending on them because you don't know a green alternative to that. And that creates a huge emission. And when we talk about the employee as a part of an organization, you're also an end consumer of an organization. So if you are working at Unilever, think about how much of Unilever product you're consuming, or Nestle product you're consuming. If it doesn't matter how many deliveries you have got out of that. Okay, but if you look from that point of view, there was a lot of impact which is happening on the sustainability point of view because of our expenditures, and we wanted to understand if we can reduce that. So that brought to us this structure which we have created over here financially. Let's say from a Zomato, you want to order a food or worth 500 bucks. Okay, so you can buy a digital card from our platform for 500 at 490. That means you save 10 bucks over here. Okay. Because of my food habit, I'm a non-vegetarian, and I understand my emission is going to be somewhere around 210 something. Okay. This platform is helping me to reduce this to 195 automatically. So I save certain amount of emission for myself. Now, when I buy this, I'll get a card of my own. I'll show you a digital card, which how it looks like. So like this, I get a 16-digit card and a pin for that. So this can be now, if I go to Zomato, let's say I want to order from Zomato using this card, I can just go to Zomato. And I can come to adding my gift card. I can claim my gift card. Sorry, it is taking a lot of time to load, but this is one of the use cases. So I just wanted to show us the same card. You can just punch in over here. You can enter your PIN. As soon as you do that, that $500 is added to your account. Okay, and you are able to use it without any concerns like that, and you are able to get that data completely over here. So now think about as the user inside an organization, I did different kind of this activities. One of the things which will happen will be when I take a positive action will be I'll get certified for the actions which I'm taking. So that means a corporate will get most of the information from me without any kind of concern. They don't have to do a lot of hard work to get that baseline created for them. So let's say when I did the Zomato, I get a credit. When I do the activity, I take a credit. Now, if you look at the credit system which has been built, the green credit which we're talking about, it can be something which can be earned as a reward or the allowances. Okay. So let's say reward is whenever I did a positive action, when I did a offsetting or I took a pledge to make a reduction and has been validated. So I got a reward over here. Now, from the allowances point of view, if a corporate chooses to build their reward system or the food tax-free allowances or food as a part of the system, this become over here as a part of the green credit. And the green credit then again gets impacted of the use case. Like, one of the use cases we have seen is Zomato. Okay, you'll be able to use it over there, and that becomes a claimable data on our backend software, the web app which is giving to the employer. So employer will have a one-click reporting of what is happening, how the money has been used, and what is the use case of that, how the reduction has happened, and that creates a claimable data. Now, the corporate will have its own green credit system to be created out of this. They will be able to show the carbon credit or the carbon reduction, and they'll be able to show the green credit structure which has been built out of that. So a solution like ours actually helps you to understand the easier aspect of life. Okay, it helps you to create the validated things for you. I'll just stop sharing my screen. So the gist of is that most of our organizations we are only looking at the scope 1, scope 2 as the harder part of it. In the scope 3, we are only looking at the travel as a part of it. Whereas if you look at the entire technology bit of it, how it can be integrated, we can have a bigger impact of it, because what is stopping the carbon economy or the taxonomy to bring other aspect of your employees' lifestyle as a part of it, the food they're using or the stationery they're using or the other aspect of their life as a part of it. Now, the idea is to be future ready for this. The idea is to be better than what the European or the Western counterpart has done. And I think technology can solve a problem. My Plan8 is just one such solution which we just showed to you. But honestly, in this space currently, a lot of companies are working, and that creates a big value, because technology, AI, and different aspects of AI has been able to build that validation system for you. And if you are consulting an organization and telling them, what are the different possibilities of creating a sustainable environment within your organization, or sustainability based culture of your organization, is not just compliances, it's the people as well. So if you bring that both the aspects together, it will create a much bigger impact. If you have any queries, I'll be more than happy to take your questions, and anything else, any other information required around that. So I think we have answered almost everything. Yeah, Nikhil, yes.
No, I just wanted to ask a question, since no one else was, that, I mean, would you like to give us maybe a few examples of what we could do in our daily lives, whether it is segregation of waste, or whether it is,
Yes.
Walking to office, or, taking a walk instead of going onto a, electric treadmill, taking a
Yes.
walk instead of going to a gym. So what are those, 5, 7, 10 things that would automatically come to your mind, because you're obviously a lot more knowledgeable about this, which you could share, because we've got so many people listening in. Maybe if all of us could adopt one or two things, it would certainly help us to become maybe more green as far as people are concerned.
So, okay, I'll definitely answer that. And Nikhil, one of the
Thanks.
reason that we built My Planet was for the same reason as well. The first conversation we had was what we cannot leave. Okay. As a person, we try to think about when we think about creating a sustainable culture or climate action for ourselves. We think about कि हमें क्या छोड़ना पड़ेगा, हमें क्या नहीं करना चाहिए, just to ensure we become more sustainable. Rather than that, first question I think every one of us should ask, internally with us as well in the organization as well to everyone is, what is one thing you cannot leave, or what is one thing you cannot live without? Like, for some people it could be food, for the other people it could be fitness, the other someone else would be shopping, they can't live without that. Okay, so then if you can't live without it, what are the other things you can do in parallel to that? So like you rightly said, if I can walk shorter distances. So in fact, with My Plan, what we are trying to do, we give you a challenge. Okay, if you're walking the shorter distances, just say that, okay, I'm taking this pledge that I'll walk the shorter distances. Most of us use our phones with Android and other aspect of Apple. Both this app have fit as the aspect of. So we track that if you have walked that distance, we understand that you have completed that pledge, and we try to give you a credit for that as well. So it's something to push you to for a better health, but at the same time for a better environment as well. The other most common activities like you say segregation of waste, we understand that is a challenge because for us, most of us, we are not the one who's actually putting the waste out in our family, in our household. Mostly we have our home a house help or a buy in our house who's actually taking that waste out, and no matter if you have segregated it, eventually they just add the both the bags together and they throw it out. So in that case, educating your house help also becomes a part of an activity which you have to do. You have to tell them, okay, if I'm segregating the waste, both the waste have to go separately, and the same color waste box which has been in which you have in your house as well. So the color coding of the waste boxes has been done, so it becomes simple ki is color se isi color mein jana hai. The another aspect which is very easy, which I'll say, is go back to the roots, like what our parents used to do. Uh, the easiest thing is carrying your own bag, kapde ka, okay, having your own ghar ka dabba and carrying your own bottle. Most of the time, people tell me, okay, why you're carrying a bottle? It's a lot of hassle for it. But having your own water bottle saves a lot of plastic emission, which will not be calculated as a carbon emission altogether when you look at that. But there's a lot of plastic as an issue which happens, and you'll be able to save that emission for people. Carrying your own water bottle will also help you to reduce water usage, the unnecessary water usage which is happening. Very small thing you guys can do for the water is also, if you have ROs at your home, the water which is coming out as a waste from RO, please don't throw that away. Use it for your plants, use it for your, ghar ka pocha and other things, because this water is not completely wasted. This is not something which is dirty only. Yes, it's not drinkable for you for certain because of certain norms, but this water can be a life for very lot of other things in your house. So try to take that, and we have tried to bring that same thing in our app as well. So if I understand that is the problem area, waste is the problem area for you, what is the problem area for you, we will try to nudge you to those kind of practices, try to give you those kind of pledges which can help you to create that sort of impact on the environment. So it's not just about the emission reduction, is also about, like I said, sustainability has different goals in it. We have different 17 goals which we want to consider to attain a better world, and that should be the goal. When you do that, climate action will become automatically a part of it. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Nidhi.
Anyone else? So I take it as no one has a query. Over to you, Joseph. Sir, thank you for the opportunity. I really thank for that. And I hope understanding different ways of sustainability, having more clarity about sustainability, help you guys to make your roles also better for the organization you're helping out. Thank you so much.
Hello, hi Nidhi. Thank you for your wonderful session. Myself Sahil Shah, and on behalf of JHS and Associates, I would like to express our gratitude to our esteemed speakers Urmish Mehta, Tanuj Agarwal, and Nidhi Mehta for sharing their experience, insight, and experiences with us. Your knowledge and passion have truly enriched our understanding on the misconceptions which were around ESG area and the empowering corporate social corporate sustainability. And once again, I would like to thank Urmish, Tanuj, and Nidhi for your willingness to take the time to be with us today, despite of your busy schedules. Your presence have really enriched our Excellencia series and made it a memorable and enriching experience for all the participants. Thank you once again for your invaluable contributions. And I would like to thank all the participants for their patient listening for the session.
Thank you, Sahil. Happy to be here. Thank you so much.
So with this, we'll conclude our JHS Excellencia series, this session on misconception of ESG and empowering corporate social sustainability. Thank you everyone for attending.